Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Trader Ty, and I missed the deadline for the weekly analysis, so I'm still going to drop some charts today. I've got two pairs in mind, and I've got some stocks that I'm going to go over too. So the first one's going to be the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar, right? Now let's start off with the fundamentals. Let's go over to the fundamentals, and we're going to have a look at the Australian dollar and Canadian dollar. Now the Australian dollar is inflationary and the Canadian dollar is inflationary as well, right? So we go over to the charts, have a look at the long term, then we can see that the Canadian dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar at the moment. So for the long term bias, we had a sell position on this due to the Canadian dollar being stronger. But if we went to short time, for example, then we can see that it was buying up. The Australian dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar in a short-term process, in a short-term analysis, right? Then I just boiled it down to looking at the differentials between the two, and then I start picking out different types of trades, right? So as we can see that the differentials for GDP, that the Canadian dollar is lower than the Australian, and we see that relative GDP is minus 2.22%. Okay, but even though it's still stronger, we still had that dip for the Canadian dollar, right? And then we have a look at the interest rates. Canadian dollar is 0.25% above, yeah. And then you got relative wealth, which is 0.82, so the Australian dollar is relatively stronger. And then looking at the COP results as well, we can see that the Australian dollar has just crossed over, and then so investors are starting to buy the Australian dollar. So in all of these terms, we're looking for a buy, yeah, looking for a long bias in this at the moment. But overall, we're looking for a sell. Yeah, looking at the long-term global macros. So let's go over to the charts on the monthly, and I could just blow this up for a sec. We have a supply zone right here, and we had a trend line break right here as well. So it potentially could come back up, test this for the buy, and then drop back down. Because we had this trend line break right here, and we have a nice demand that has an imbalance right here. So price can potentially come down to test this demand zone and then start to rally back up from that. We've got the highs, the average, and the lows down here. So we have room for it to come back down, and it has been this month. So if we look over at the weekly chart of the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar, we can see that we had since February 22nd, it has been selling off, and it approached this demand zone on the weekly and started rejecting it. So again, we could see the pullback of this coming back up and then sell off from there all the way down. So we could get a test up to this supply zone, something to keep aware of on that. So if I can go over to the daily, and on the daily we have a distribution, right? We have the buying climax, automatic rally, we have our resistance area right here, sign of strength as it broke this automatic rally support right here, and we have a demand zone, we have a supply, and we have orders and liquidity with a trend line break. There's a lot going on here. So all in all, I was expecting a test up and then a drop back down, maybe to come and take orders liquidity down here. So this would have been a nice scenario to watch for the next coming weeks on this right here. Going over it, you really know what the fundamentals are, you know what the COT is. So we have the smart money placing their positions in the buy, so it may come back up, test this up first, so we might get a nice test, and then it'll come back down. So we don't know. All we're doing is just putting together the evidence and trying to link these the best we can. So my next pair is going to be the Euro and USD. So we can just go and have a look at the fundamentals on these. And we've got the Euro USD. And as we can see here, that the United States dollar is stronger than the euro. Okay, that's for long term. So we're looking at a sell-off on the long term fundamentals, looking at all the global macro fundamentals for the long term. If we can look at short term as well, so USD, and then right here we have a buy where it's come up against the United States dollar, but this is short term. So then now we have to go down to differentials and see what we can gather as much evidence as we can, right? And as we can see that they both have fallen. Europe has fallen more than the United States. So the relative GDP is minus 3.08%. We have the United States interest rates at 0.8. As we can see, we've got 0.8 for United States dollar. Relative wealth is 3.12% richer than United States dollar. So we have had relative wealth for the euro. But we have seen a big surge of smart money buying United States dollar compared to the euro. They're still high, but look at this big surge right here compared to the euro. So we had a big increase in this, right? So now that we've gathered all the evidence for the fundamentals, we can go over to the monthly. So we can go over to the monthly, and then as we can see here on the monthly, we've had a demand zone which is tested, broken a trend line, and started to sell off. But we'll come down to this demand zone right here. Yeah, so we've had this supply, broke this trend line, and it's now rejected from the demand zone. But it may break and come and test this one more. I was looking for more of a retest down here. So this would have been my ultimate target. Yeah, so if this breaks right here, which will be enticing, we're getting on a retest of this. They would have made a supply. Either they would have used this as a supply, or it would have been a new supply wherever it broke, and then we could have got in to the sell down to here. So that would have been a target that I'll be looking at on a long term. And on the long term, it said it's going to sell off using fundamentals, right? If we can go over to the monthly as well. Again, the monthly and the weekly was nested with a nice trend line break right here. So yeah, again, if we can get down here, that'd be fantastic. Come all the way down, and then we can start buying up from here. Yeah, great results. Let me go to the daily on that, and this is what I'm looking at on the daily. So we have the daily trend line break right here. We have a wholesale supply with a manipulation line and an equilibrium point right here. So we have quite a few confluences. Again, this may break, but overall I was looking for a sell-off. Okay, we have point of interest right here. We have orders and liquidity. We have liquidity right here, so they may want to take that out. And then I'll probably have a look at this retail demand, which it may hold, it may not hold, which it's a possibility. So if price comes up and does this, right, price comes up, takes that and sells off, I'll be very interested. Again, nothing is guaranteed. It may just break, maybe we'll take a retest right here. Might come up and take this out, may come up here and then sell off. We don't know. Right, we're just anticipating high probability where it is good to do business. So this is the highest point on the chart in this area, and then we've got the average, then we've got the low down here. So like I said, we're just taking high probability setups. Yeah, so it'll be nice if I can do business right here. That would be very nice, but not everything's going to be the way that you want it to be, right? We'll put a point of interest in here just for this, just because I just noticed that it was a nice base. Take this out. That was a nice base here, rally base, drop base drop, and it broke this right here, then hit all this liquidity, and then it's kind of just like consolidating at the moment. So yeah, definitely would be an interesting one. These are my two pairs for this week on that. Let me see if I've got anything else. No, let me go to my personal. Actually, yeah, I've got some stocks as well. Let's go over to the stocks side of things too. Let's go to my personal list. So I have my personal list right here. And what we got. So this is gold that I've been watching at the moment. And yeah, we had a trend line break here. So it would be nice if it can come back up. It has rejected from the daily demand right here. But I think it may go down even more. You know, it may come down to this point, you know. But yeah, that'll be interesting to watch on gold. So going over to JP Morgan, some of the stocks that I watch myself. So we have a break in this supply zone. So the demand was heavy, a nice demand zone. And as we can see, we have this weekly demand zone that broke this right here. This will be a very interesting point for me to watch, is this one right here. So we may get a nice clear rejection from here. Good place to do business as well, thinking about JP Morgan, and we can put some money in this. Even better if we can get in on this will be even more better. But this area would entice me to do business because it would have the trend line break too. So all in all, this looks interesting. So moving over to Goldman Sachs, one of my favorites. I like watching this. We had a clear break right here with a nice demand zone on the monthly. So we know that the demand is in control, and we had this high imbalance right here. We had a nice accumulation range right here. We had a selling climax, automatic rally up. I had a support right here, sign of strength where it rallied up here, and then we had the shakeout. Then we had this nice rally up here, which has been going on for a while now. Yeah, so it has created an imbalance. I expect it to come back down to one of these demand zones where I think would be a great place to do business. And these two stocks that I've been watching for a while now, Bank of America 2, so Bank of America Corporation, we had this break right here. Again, all these banking stocks, you know, I've been watching these banking stocks, and again we have a nice demand zone right here. Here we go, and we can open up the monthly on that too. So as we can see here, that we have broken a supply. We had this nice imbalance right here. It's broken out and it's starting to reject on the monthly too. So we could see it come back down to spark more interest in a later date. We have one more as well, which is Apple. We have Apple right here, and Apple has broken this trend line and created a supply zone. We have a demand right here with this imbalance, so potentially it could come back up. I don't really see it come back down this far, you know. Maybe it might retrace back a little bit. We have a bit of a Wyckoff right here with a buying climax, automatic rally to the resistance, and then we had an up thrust, and then it's just been going. So it may come back and test this again, or it could just keep going down. I'll be looking more on a lower time frames for maybe around here. Might be a good target around here to have a look at for another entry. I don't think it will go, we never know. We have the target there, we have a trend line break. I think it might just pull it back a little touch. This is Apple we're talking about, you know, so it would be of interest if it does come into this area. Then yeah, I'll be interested in this right here. We're looking at a daily time frame, so it may come down, but weekly time frame, it may come down, but yeah, we have this trend line break, so potentially it can come down. It can come crashing down. We don't know. We could come back for a pullback. People will spark more interest, and then it will just keep rallying from there. So yeah, definitely interesting results on that. So that was my weekly analysis for this week, and I will post up some charts. I'll post up the charts in the community too. If you've enjoyed this and you want to learn more, or you want to take advantage of the setups that I send out, then join up the free Telegram group. It's a public group and it's free for everyone. So I use a lot of the fundamentals. I use supply and demand with Wyckoff. So that's my main strategy that I'm using on all of my charts. And that's it. If you want to learn more, if you want to talk about it, feel free to come into the public Telegram group and we can talk. All right, so take care and have a great week this week. Okay, take care and I'll see you during the week.